Laura Bennett lived a quiet life in the small town of Maplewood. She spent her days taking care of her two children, Mia and Ethan, and working part-time at the local library. Her life was simple but fulfilling, filled with school runs, grocery shopping, and evenings spent reading bedtime stories to her kids. She never imagined that her ordinary world would change forever on a crisp autumn afternoon. It started like any other day. Laura was folding laundry in the living room when she heard a strange sound coming from the backyard. At first, she thought it might be the wind rattling through the trees, or perhaps one of the neighborhood cats knocking over a trash can. But then the noise grew louder, a low hum that seemed to vibrate through the air. Curious, Laura walked toward the sliding glass door leading to the yard. What she saw made her freeze in shock. Hovering just above the ground was a sleek silver spacecraft, its surface shimmering like liquid metal under the sunlight. The craft was unlike anything Laura had ever seen, not even in movies. It was smooth and seamless, without any visible windows or doors. For a moment, she wondered if she was dreaming. But as the humming grew louder, reality set in. This was real. Suddenly, a section of the ship opened, revealing a glowing doorway. Out stepped a tall figure with shimmering blue skin and large, luminous eyes. He wore a fitted suit that seemed to shift colors subtly as he moved. His presence was both mesmerizing and intimidating. Laura instinctively took a step back, clutching the edge of the doorframe for support. "Do not be afraid," the figure said in a calm, melodic voice. "I mean no harm." Laura blinked, unsure whether to believe him. Who are you?" She stammered, her heart pounding in her chest. "My name is Cal," he replied, bowing slightly. "I come bearing news of great importance." Despite her fear, Laura couldn't help but notice how gentle his tone was. There was something about him, his posture, his expression, that put her at ease. Still, she kept her guard up. "What kind of news? Why are you here?" Cale paused, studying her face intently before speaking again. "I am here on behalf of my late friend, Zoran. He entrusted me with a task to deliver his final wishes to you." "To me?" Laura asked, her voice rising in disbelief. "Why would some alien pick me? I don't even know who this Zoran person is." Cale nodded understandingly. "That is understandable. Allow me to explain." He reached into a compartment on his belt and pulled out what looked like a small crystal orb. With a flick of his wrist, the orb projected a holographic image into the air. It showed a being similar to Cale, though slightly shorter and with greenish skin. The figure smiled warmly. "Greetings, Laura Bennett," the hologram began. "If you are watching this, it means I have passed on. Do not grieve for me. I lived a long and meaningful life. Before my departure, I chose to leave my legacy in your hands. You may wonder why someone like me would choose a human, but the answer is simple. Over the years, I observed countless civilizations across the galaxy, searching for qualities I admired most: kindness, resilience, and an unwavering sense of justice. In you, I found all three." Laura stared at the hologram, dumbfounded. This was insane. How could an alien possibly know anything about her? The hologram continued. "My fortune, including my assets, knowledge, and even my young son, Varric, is now yours to protect. I trust you will use them wisely. Farewell, Laura. May our paths cross again someday." The projection faded, leaving Laura standing in stunned silence. Cale watched her carefully, waiting for her reaction. "This has to be some kind of joke," Laura muttered, shaking her head. "Aliens, spaceships, fortunes, none of this makes sense." "I assure you, it is very real," Cale said softly. "And while it may seem overwhelming, I am here to assist you every step of the way." Laura sighed deeply, running a hand through her hair. She didn't ask for this, but deep down, she knew there was no turning back. Whatever lay ahead, she would face it, one step at a time. The next few days were a whirlwind for Laura. Kale stayed in her guest room, explaining more about Zoran's legacy and what it meant to inherit such a vast fortune. At first, Laura struggled to wrap her mind around the idea. She was just an ordinary woman from a small town, not someone destined to manage alien wealth or raise an alien child. But Kale assured her that Zoran had seen something special in her, something worth trusting. One evening, after putting Mia and Ethan to bed, Laura sat down with Kale in the living room. He handed her a small device, no bigger than a notebook, that glowed faintly when activated. It displayed pages of information written in symbols Laura couldn't read. "This is a record of Zoran's assets," Kale explained. "It includes properties, technology, and resources spread across multiple planets." Laura shook her head in disbelief. "I don't even know where to start. How am I supposed to handle all this?" "You won't have to do it alone," Kale replied patiently. "I will guide you. And besides, the most important part of your inheritance isn't the wealth, it's Varric." At the mention of the name, Laura felt a pang of nervousness. Raising her own children was challenging enough. How could she possibly care for an alien baby? Sensing her unease, Kale added, "Varric is young, but he is intelligent and adaptable. He will need love and patience, qualities you already possess in abundance." The following morning, Kale took Laura to a secure location outside town, a hidden underground facility where Zoran's belongings had been stored temporarily. Inside, they found a cradle-like pod glowing softly with a pale blue light. As Laura approached, the lid of the pod opened slowly, revealing a tiny figure nestled inside. Varric looked like a mix between human and alien. His skin shimmered faintly, similar to Kale's, and his large, expressive eyes glowed gently. Instead of crying like a human baby, he emitted soft musical tones that seemed to resonate with emotions. When Laura reached out hesitantly, Varric responded by reaching back with his small hand, his touch surprisingly warm. "He recognizes you," Kale said with a smile. "He knows you are now his guardian." Overwhelmed but determined, Laura picked up Varric carefully. She noticed how light he felt in her arms, almost weightless. Despite his unusual appearance, there was something undeniably endearing about him. For the first time since meeting Kale, Laura felt a flicker of hope. Maybe she could do this after all. Back home, Laura introduced Varric to Mia and Ethan. Her kids were initially hesitant, staring wide-eyed at their new, alien brother. But curiosity soon overcame fear. They giggled as Varric played simple melodies with his tones, responding to their laughter with joyful chirps of his own. Watching them interact brought tears to Laura's eyes. In that moment, she realized her family had grown, not just in size, but in heart. As the days passed, Laura began learning more about Varric's needs. Kale taught her how to use advanced alien tools designed to care for hybrid infants. One device translated Varric's musical tones into basic thoughts, allowing Laura to understand his moods and desires. Another machine provided nutrient-rich formula tailored to his unique biology. Though the technology was foreign, Laura quickly adapted, relying on instinct and determination. Despite the challenges, Laura found herself growing closer to Varric. There was a purity in his presence, a sense of unconditional trust that reminded her why she became a mother in the first place. Each day brought new discoveries, not only about Varric, but also about herself. She was learning to embrace the unknown, one step at a time. Still, Laura couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Somewhere out there among the stars lay a galaxy full of wonders, and dangers waiting to be explored. Laura's life had changed in ways she could never have imagined. Every morning now began with a soft glow of Varric's cradle-like pod in the corner of her bedroom. The alien baby seemed to thrive under her care, his musical tones growing more complex as the days went by. Laura was starting to understand him better, thanks to the translation device Cal had given her. It wasn't perfect, but it helped her figure out when Varric was hungry, sleepy, or just feeling playful. Mia and Ethan were adjusting too. At first, they were unsure how to interact with their new brother, but soon they were laughing and playing with him like he'd always been part of the family. One afternoon, Ethan brought out a set of toy drums and started tapping rhythms. To everyone's surprise, Varric responded by matching the beats with his own tones. The room filled with laughter as the three of them created an impromptu concert. Watching them together made Laura smile. It was proof that love and connection could bridge even the widest gaps. Kale continued to visit regularly, teaching Laura about Zoran's world and the responsibilities that came with the inheritance. He explained that Zoran hadn't just left behind wealth. He'd also entrusted her with knowledge and technology that could benefit countless beings across the galaxy. But Kale warned her that not everyone would welcome a human taking on such a role. "There are those who might see you as unworthy," he said one evening. "You'll need to be careful." Laura nodded, though the thought of facing hostility scared her. She wasn't ready to think about enemies or politics. She was still trying to keep up with the basics of caring for Varric and managing her own household. Still, she appreciated Cal's honesty. He wasn't sugarcoating things, and that gave her a sense of trust. One day, Cal brought something new, a small, glowing orb that floated in midair. "This is a communication link," he explained. "It will allow you to contact me or other trusted allies if you ever need help." Laura stared at the orb, fascinated. It pulsed gently, almost like it had a heartbeat. She reached out to touch it, and it emitted a warm hum in response. "Try speaking to it," Kale encouraged. Laura hesitated, then said softly, "Hello." The orb shimmered brighter, and a soothing voice replied, "Connection established. How may I assist you?" Her eyes widened. "Wow, this is incredible." "It's just one of many tools you'll come to rely on," Kale said with a smile. "But remember, technology is only as useful as the person using it. Your instincts and compassion will guide you far more than any gadget." As the weeks passed, Laura grew more confident in her new role. She began exploring some of Zoran's records, curious about the man who had chosen her. The holographic messages revealed glimpses of his life, his travels, his friendships, and his dreams for the future. One entry stood out to her. "Humans are remarkable creatures. They possess a unique ability to adapt and connect, even in the face of uncertainty. That is why I believe they hold great potential for the galaxy." Reading those words filled Laura with both pride and pressure. She wanted to live up to Zoran's faith in her, but the weight of responsibility sometimes felt overwhelming. On nights when doubt crept in, she would sit by Varric's cradle, listening to his calming tones. His presence reminded her why she couldn't give up. Meanwhile, Mia and Ethan were becoming little ambassadors of sorts. They peppered Kel with questions about aliens, spaceships, and the universe beyond Earth. Kel patiently answered their curiosity, sharing stories about different planets and cultures. Their fascination inspired Laura to learn more herself. She realized that this journey wasn't just about protecting Varric or managing an inheritance. It was about opening doors to a whole new world. Still, there were moments of tension. Neighbors had started noticing strange lights coming from Laura's backyard late at night. A few even asked questions, though Laura brushed them off with vague excuses. She knew she couldn't keep the truth hidden forever, But for now, secrecy felt necessary. Deep down, Laura understood that her quiet life in Maplewood was over. The galaxy had come knocking, and she was stepping into its vast unknown. One step, one choice, and one moment of courage at a time. One crisp morning, Cale arrived at Laura's house with an announcement. "It's time," he said simply, his glowing eyes meeting hers. "You need to see the galaxy for yourself." Laura felt her stomach tighten. "Now? Are you sure I'm ready?" "You've done well so far," Cale replied. "But understanding Zoran's legacy means stepping beyond Earth. There are places and people you must meet to fully grasp what lies ahead." After some hesitation, Laura agreed. She packed a small bag, kissed Mia and Ethan goodbye, and assured them she'd return soon. Varric came along too, nestled securely in his portable pod. With a final wave, Laura followed Cal to the backyard, where the sleek silver spacecraft waited. The ship was unlike anything Laura had ever seen up close. Its surface shimmered as if alive, and when Cal touched a panel, the door slid open silently. Inside, the walls glowed softly, and the seats molded themselves to fit perfectly as Laura sat down. Before she could ask any questions, the ship lifted off smoothly, leaving Earth behind. Through the window, Laura watched her planet shrink until it became just a blue dot in the endless blackness of space. For a moment, she felt small and insignificant, but then she looked at Varric, sleeping peacefully in his pod, and remembered why she was here. This wasn't about her. It was about protecting him and honoring Zoran's trust. Their destination was a bustling galactic marketplace called Lumora Hub. As they approached, Laura gazed out the window in awe. The hub looked like a floating city made of light, with ships of all shapes and sizes docking at its edges. Beings of every imaginable form, some tall and spindly, others short and round, some with fur, others with scales, moved through the crowded streets. When they landed, Cale led Laura through the vibrant market. Stalls overflowed with strange fruits, glowing crystals, and gadgets that defied explanation. Merchants called out in languages Laura couldn't understand, though Cale translated snippets for her. Everywhere she turned, there were sights and sounds she'd never dreamed of. At one stall, a vendor offered Laura a fruit that shimmered like liquid gold. "Try it," Cale urged. Hesitantly, she took a bite. The flavor exploded in her mouth, sweet, tangy, and refreshing all at once. She laughed in delight, drawing curious stares from nearby aliens. Despite the wonder, not everyone welcomed her presence. Some beings stopped to stare, whispering among themselves. One group of traders muttered loudly enough for Laura to hear. "What's a human doing here? They're too primitive for this place." Cale noticed her discomfort and leaned closer. "Ignore them. Not everyone understands how special humans can be. You'll prove them wrong in time." As they wandered deeper into the market, Cale introduced Laura to Jorik, a gruff but kind-hearted trader with thick, moss-like skin and glowing yellow eyes. He ran a stall filled with tools and trinkets from across the galaxy. When Cale explained who Laura was, Jorik raised an eyebrow but nodded respectfully. "If you're handling Zoran's fortune, you'll need reliable allies," Jorik said. "Count me in." Zoran was a good friend. Grateful for the support, Laura thanked him. Jorik handed her a small device. "This will help you track your assets. It's linked to the Galactic Trade Network. You'll find it useful." By the end of the day, Laura's head spun with everything she'd seen and learned. The marketplace was overwhelming, but also exhilarating. For the first time, she began to feel like maybe, just maybe, she could handle this extraordinary responsibility. As they boarded the ship to return home, Laura glanced back at the glowing hub. Somewhere out there among the stars lay challenges and opportunities she couldn't yet imagine. But for now, she felt a spark of excitement. This was only the beginning. Back on Earth, Laura tried to settle back into her routine, but the memory of the galactic marketplace lingered in her mind. The sights, sounds, and even the whispers of doubt from some of the aliens stayed with her. She couldn't shake the feeling that trouble might be brewing, even if she didn't know what form it would take. Kale had warned her that not everyone would accept a human inheriting Zoran's fortune. At first, Laura thought he was being overly cautious. But one evening, as she tucked Varric into his pod, the communication orb Kale had given her began to glow and hum softly. Startled, Laura approached it cautiously. Laura Bennett said a deep, cold voice when she activated the orb. A holographic image flickered to life, showing a tall, menacing figure with sharp features and dark, piercing eyes. His skin was a dull gray, and his presence exuded hostility. "My name is Threx. I represent those who question your right to Zoran's legacy." Laura's heart raced. "Who are you? What do you want?" "I am here to remind you that humans are outsiders in this galaxy," Threx replied, his tone icy. "You lack the wisdom and experience to manage such vast resources. Hand over the inheritance, and we will leave you unharmed." "No," Laura said firmly, though her hands trembled. "Zoran chose me for a reason. I won't give up what he entrusted to me." Threx's hologram narrowed its eyes. "Then you leave us no choice. Consider this your warning." The image vanished, leaving Laura staring at the now dim orb. She immediately called Kale using the same device. When he appeared on the projection, his expression turned grave as she recounted the encounter. "I feared this might happen," Kale admitted. "Threx leads a faction that opposes non-traditional inheritors. They see your presence as a threat to their power." "What do I do?" Laura asked, her voice tinged with fear. "For now, stay alert," Kale advised. "Threx may try to intimidate you, but don't let him force your hand. We'll strengthen our defenses and prepare for whatever comes next." Over the following days, strange things began happening around Laura's home. Her car wouldn't start one morning, despite having been fine the night before. Later, the lights in her house flickered erratically, even though the power grid was stable. One night, she woke to find shadows moving outside her window, though no one was there when she checked. Mia and Ethan noticed the tension too. "Mom, are you okay?" Mia asked during breakfast one day. "You seem worried." "I'm fine," Laura lied, forcing a smile. "Just work stuff." But inside, she felt anything but fine. The weight of protecting Varric and managing Zoran's legacy was heavier than ever. Still, she refused to let fear control her. Each night, after putting the kids to bed, she spent hours reviewing the records Cal had shared with her. She studied maps of Zoran's properties, read about the advanced technology he'd left behind, and learned how to use tools designed to monitor potential threats. Kale visited often, bringing updates and offering guidance. Together, they installed sensors around the house to detect intrusions and set up a secure communication channel with trusted allies like Jorik. Slowly, Laura began to feel more prepared, even if the danger remained unclear. One evening, as she sat by Varric's cradle, she whispered, "We're going to be okay. I promise." Hearing her voice, Varric emitted a soft, reassuring tone. It was as if he understood and believed her. Despite the growing unease, Laura found strength in the people around her. Mia and Ethan were brave, asking questions instead of running from fear. Kale stood by her side, reminding her she wasn't alone. And Jorik sent regular messages of encouragement, promising his support if things escalated. Laura knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Threx's threats were real, and she doubted he would back down easily. But as she looked at Varric, glowing faintly in his pod, she reminded herself why she had to keep going. This wasn't just about her. It was about honoring Zoran's trust and ensuring a brighter future for everyone involved. Whatever came next, Laura vowed to face it head-on. She was learning to stand firm, drawing courage from her family and the knowledge that she wasn't fighting this battle alone. As the days passed, Laura grew more determined to protect her family and fulfill Zoran's wishes. She spent hours practicing with the tools Cal had given her, learning how to use them not just for defense, but also to understand the vast network of resources Zoran had left behind. The glowing orb that connected her to allies like Jorik became a lifeline, offering advice and reassurance whenever she felt overwhelmed. One afternoon, while Mia and Ethan were at school, Laura sat with Varric in the living room. She placed him gently on a soft blanket, watching as he explored his surroundings with wide, curious eyes. His musical tones filled the air, shifting in pitch and rhythm depending on what caught his attention. Laura noticed that when she spoke softly or smiled at him, his tones became warmer and more melodic. "He's responding to your emotions," Cale explained during one of his visits. Varric can sense feelings and project calming energy. It's part of his unique biology. Laura marveled at this. "So he knows when I'm happy or scared?" "Yes," Cale replied, "and he trusts you completely." That bond is crucial, not just for him, but for all of us. The connection between Laura and Varric deepened with each passing day. She began to see him not just as an alien baby, but as a bridge between worlds. Through him, she felt closer to Zoran's vision of unity and understanding across species. Even Mia and Ethan noticed the change. They loved playing with Varric, teaching him simple games and laughing at his playful tones. Their bond as a family grew stronger, blending human warmth with alien wonder. Meanwhile, Cale continued to teach Laura about the galaxy. He shared stories of Zoran's adventures, highlighting the friendships and alliances he'd built over the years. Zoran believed in cooperation, Cale said one evening. He saw potential in every being, no matter their origin. "That's why he chose you. You embodied those same values." Laura nodded, though she still doubted herself sometimes. "I just hope I can live up to his expectations." "You already are," Cale assured her. "Every step you take brings us closer to realizing Zoran's dream." Despite the growing tension from Threx's faction, Laura found moments of peace. She started journaling, writing down everything she learned about aliens, technology, and the universe. It helped her process her thoughts and stay grounded. On quiet nights, she would sit outside under the stars, imagining the distant planets and civilizations waiting beyond Earth's atmosphere. Her kids were eager to learn too. Mia borrowed books from the library about space exploration, while Ethan drew pictures of spaceships and aliens. One evening, they gathered around the kitchen table, sharing their ideas about what life might be like on other worlds. Laura listened with pride, realizing how much her children were growing alongside her. But the calm didn't last long. One night, as Laura tucked Mia and Ethan into bed, the house's security system triggered an alert. Rushing to the living room, she found Cale already there, examining a blinking light on the control panel. "Someone tried to hack into our systems," he said grimly. "It's Threx's people. They're testing our defenses." Laura clenched her fists, anger mixing with fear. "What do we do now?" "We strengthen our protections," Cale replied, "and we prepare for the possibility of direct confrontation." Though the threat loomed large, Laura refused to let it break her spirit. With Cale's help, she reinforced the sensors around the house and practiced using defensive tools designed to deter intruders. She also reached out to Jorik, who promised to send additional support if needed. Through it all, Laura leaned on her family and allies. Together, they formed a team unlike any other, a blend of human resilience and alien ingenuity. As she held Varric close one evening, listening to his soothing tones, Laura realized something important. She wasn't fighting this battle alone. They were in it together, united by love, trust, and the belief that even ordinary people could make extraordinary differences. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Laura knew they would face them as one. Laura spent the next few days diving deeper into Zoran's records, determined to uncover anything that might give her an edge against Threx. Kale had mentioned that Zoran's fortune wasn't just about wealth. It included knowledge and technology that could change lives. Laura wanted to understand exactly what she was protecting. One evening, after Mia and Ethan were asleep, she sat at the kitchen table with a glowing tablet-like device Kale had provided. The screen displayed rows of symbols and diagrams, most of which made no sense to her at first. But as she scrolled through the files, something caught her eye. A section labeled Experimental Projects. Curious, she tapped on it. The screen shifted, showing blueprints for a massive machine shaped like a sphere. A note beside the image read, "Terraforming device, capable of transforming barren planets into habitable environments." Laura stared at the words, her heart racing. This was the kind of technology that could save entire civilizations, turning dead worlds into thriving ecosystems. It was also the kind of power that could be misused if it fell into the wrong hands. "This is incredible," Laura whispered to herself. She couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and fear. If Threx found out about this device, he'd stop at nothing to take it. For now, keeping its existence a secret seemed like the safest option. The next morning, Laura shared her discovery with Kale during one of his visits. His expression turned serious as he examined the blueprints. "This is why Threx is so determined to challenge you," he said. "He knows Zoran left behind groundbreaking technology. If he gains control of something like this, he could exploit it for his own gain." "What do we do?" Laura asked, her voice trembling slightly. "For now, keep the information hidden," Kale advised. "Only a handful of people know about this device, including Jorik. We'll make sure it stays that way until we can fully assess the risks." As the days passed, Laura focused on strengthening their defenses. With Kale's guidance, she installed additional security measures around the house, including sensors that detected unauthorized spacecraft nearby. She also practiced using a handheld device Kale called a shield emitter, which created a protective barrier in emergencies. Despite the tension, life continued in small, comforting ways. Mia and Ethan grew more curious about aliens in space, often asking Kale questions during his visits. One afternoon, Ethan proudly showed Kale a drawing of a spaceship with wings shaped like birds. "That's amazing," Kale said with a smile. "Maybe someday you'll design your own ship." Even Varric seemed to thrive amid the chaos. His musical tones became more expressive, almost as if he understood the weight of what was happening. Laura noticed how his sounds shifted when she felt stressed, offering gentle melodies that calmed her nerves. It was as though he was reminding her not to lose hope. But the calm didn't last long. One night, as Laura checked the security system before bed, the sensors picked up movement outside. Rushing to the window, she saw shadows darting across the yard. Her pulse quickened as she activated the shield emitter, creating a shimmering barrier around the house. Kale arrived moments later, alerted by the communication orb. Together, they scanned the area, finding traces of energy left behind by cloaked figures. "They're testing us again," Kale said grimly. "Threx is getting bolder." Laura clenched her fists, frustration bubbling inside her. "How much longer can we keep this up? I can't live like this forever." "We won't have to," Kale replied firmly. "We'll find a way to end this, to protect you and Varric, once and for all." Though fear lingered, Laura refused to let it consume her. She thought about Zoran's faith in her, about the family she was building with Mia, Ethan, and Varric. They were worth fighting for, no matter how daunting the challenge. With renewed determination, Laura vowed to stand her ground. Whatever came next, she would face it head-on, not just for herself, but for everyone counting on her. The tension in Laura's life reached a breaking point one evening when Cal didn't show up for their planned meeting. Instead, the communication orb began to glow unexpectedly, and Jorik's worried face appeared on the holographic projection. "Laura," he said urgently, "Threx has captured Cal." Laura's heart sank. What? How? He lured him into a trap under the pretense of negotiations, Jorik explained. "We need to act quickly if we want to save him." Fear gripped Laura, but she forced herself to stay calm. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "We organize a rescue mission," Jorik replied. "But it won't be easy. Threx is holding Cal aboard his warship, heavily guarded. You'll need help." Laura nodded, determination taking root. She couldn't let Cal down, not after everything he'd done for her. "I'll do whatever it takes," she said firmly. "Tell me what I need to do." Jorik outlined a plan. They would gather allies, trusted traders and friends of Zoran, and launch a coordinated attack on Threx's ship. Laura insisted on leading the mission herself. "This is my responsibility," she told Jorik. "Cal risked everything to protect me and Varric. It's time I stepped up." Over the next few hours, Laura prepared feverishly. With Mia and Ethan staying at a neighbor's house for the night, she focused entirely on the task ahead. Jorik sent over advanced gear, sleek suits that blended stealth with durability, along with weapons designed to disable rather than harm. Laura practiced using them, her hands trembling only slightly as she aimed and fired at targets set up in her backyard. When the time came, Laura met Jorik and a small team of alien allies at a hidden docking bay outside town. Their ship was larger and more intimidating than the one Laura had traveled in before, packed with technology she barely understood. As they boarded, Jorik handed her a headset. "Stay connected," he instructed. "We move together or not at all." The journey to Threx's warship felt endless. Laura sat quietly, clutching the edge of her seat as stars streaked past the windows. Her mind raced with doubts, but every time fear crept in, she looked at the glowing orb linked to Varric back home. His soft tones echoed in her memory, reminding her why she had to keep going. When they arrived, the rescue mission unfolded like a scene from a dream or a nightmare. The team slipped aboard Threx's ship using cloaking devices, avoiding patrols as they navigated narrow corridors. Laura followed Jorik closely, her breath shallow but controlled. Every sound made her flinch, every shadow seemed alive. Finally, they found Cal locked in a containment cell, weakened but alive. Seeing him brought a surge of relief and anger. "Let's get you out of here," Laura said, her voice firm as she worked the controls to open the door. Cal managed a weak smile. "You shouldn't have come." "I wasn't about to leave you behind," Laura shot back. Their escape was chaotic. Alarms blared, drawing guards who fired energy blasts in their direction. Laura ducked and dodged, her training kicking in as she used her weapon to disable attackers. Jorik led the way, shouting directions while covering their backs. By the time they reached their ship, Laura's body ached, but adrenaline kept her moving. As they blasted away from Threx's warship, Laura collapsed into a seat, finally allowing herself to breathe. Cal, though battered, thanked her quietly. "You proved them wrong," he said. "Humans are capable of far more than they realize." Laura smiled faintly, exhaustion washing over her. She knew this wasn't the end. Threx would retaliate. But for now, they were safe. Together, they have faced the impossible and won. And in that moment, Laura realized something important. She wasn't just protecting an inheritance anymore. She was fighting for a future where kindness and courage could bridge even the widest divides. The aftermath of the rescue mission left Laura and her allies shaken but resolute. Cale recovered slowly, his strength returning day by day under Laura's care. Though he was grateful for their success, he warned that Threx wouldn't give up easily. "He's humiliated," Cale explained one evening, "and humiliation makes him dangerous." Laura knew he was right. The threat wasn't over, it had only grown more intense. But she refused to let fear dictate her actions. Instead, she focused on exposing Threx's illegal activities to the Galactic Council, a governing body that oversaw interstellar law. If they could present evidence of his crimes, it might strip him of power and protect her family once and for all. With Jorik's help, Laura gathered records of Threx's attacks, stolen messages, traces of cloaked ships near Earth, and even accounts from traders who had witnessed his aggression. It wasn't an easy task. Many were too scared to speak out against someone as powerful as Threx. But Laura's persistence paid off. Slowly, the pieces came together, forming a case strong enough to take to the Council. The journey to the Galactic Council's headquarters felt surreal. Laura stepped onto another alien world, this one filled with towering spires and shimmering pathways that seemed to float above the ground. Beings of every shape and size moved through the halls, their conversations blending into a symphony of languages. Laura felt small again, like she had during her first visit to the marketplace. But this time, she carried confidence alongside her nerves. When it was her turn to address the council, Laura stood tall despite the weight of countless eyes on her. She spoke simply, using plain words to explain what had happened. "Threx has attacked me and my family without cause," she said. "He wants Zoran's legacy, not because he deserves it, but because he seeks power. I ask you to stop him before he hurts anyone else." Her voice wavered at times, but her sincerity shone through. When she finished, the room fell silent. Then, one by one, members of the council began asking questions. Some were skeptical, others curious, but all listened intently. Jorik and Cale stood beside her, offering support when needed. Finally, after hours of deliberation, the council reached a decision. They condemned Threx's actions, declaring him a threat to galactic peace. His assets were frozen, and his fleet placed under strict surveillance. Though Threx himself remained free, for now, the ruling marked a turning point. Laura exhaled deeply, relief flooding through her. For the first time in weeks, she felt a glimmer of hope. Back home, life began to settle into a new rhythm. Mia and Ethan peppered Laura with questions about the council meeting, their eyes wide with excitement. "You're like a superhero, Mom," Ethan declared proudly. Laura laughed, though part of her wondered if he was right. She hadn't set out to be a hero. She'd simply done what needed to be done. Varric seemed to sense the change, too. His musical tones grew brighter, filling the house with warmth. Laura spent quiet moments holding him close, marveling at how much he had become a part of their family. Through him, she saw glimpses of Zoran's vision, a future where humans and aliens worked side by side. Still, Laura knew there would always be challenges ahead. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, full of wonders and dangers alike. But she no longer felt afraid. With Cale and Jorik as allies, her children by her side, and Varric depending on her, she realized she wasn't alone. Together, they formed a team unlike any other, a blend of courage, compassion, and determination. One night, as Laura gazed at the stars from her backyard, she thought about everything that had happened. From the moment Cale stepped into her life, she had been thrust into a world beyond imagination. Yet here she was, standing firm, proving that even ordinary people could leave extraordinary marks on the universe. As Varric cooed softly in his pod nearby, Laura smiled. Whatever lay ahead, she was ready. With Rex's power diminished and the Galactic Council watching his every move, Laura finally felt a sense of peace. The constant fear that had shadowed her life for weeks began to lift, replaced by hope for the future. She knew the galaxy was still full of challenges, but she also knew she had the strength to face them. Laura decided to use Zoran's fortune not just for herself or her family, but to help others. She reached out to Jorik and other trusted allies, asking how she could make the biggest difference. Together, they identified struggling communities across the galaxy, planets ravaged by war, famine, or environmental collapse, and began sending aid. Food, medicine, and advanced technology flowed from Zoran's resources into the hands of those who needed it most. One of the first projects Laura tackled was the terraforming device she had discovered earlier. Under Kale's guidance, she worked with scientists to test its capabilities. They chose a barren planet on the edge of known space, one that had once been home to a thriving civilization before disaster struck. Slowly, the device transformed the desolate landscape into fertile ground, bringing new life to the planet. When the first crop sprouted, Laura traveled there to see it for herself. Standing amidst fields of green under a bright blue sky, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what Zoran had envisioned, a better future for everyone. Back on Earth, Mia and Ethan continued to grow more curious about the universe beyond their world. Inspired by their mother's courage, they dreamed of exploring the stars themselves someday. Laura encouraged their curiosity, sharing stories of Zoran and teaching them about the cultures and creatures they might encounter. Even Varric joined in, his musical tones responding to their laughter and excitement. Varric himself flourished under Laura's care. His connection to her deepened with each passing day, and he became a symbol of unity between humans and aliens. People from across the galaxy visited Maplewood to meet him, drawn by tales of the human mother who had embraced an alien child as her own. Laura welcomed these visitors warmly, seeing them as opportunities to build bridges and foster understanding. Though her days were busy, Laura always found time to reflect on how far she had come. She thought about the quiet, ordinary life she had led before Kale arrived, and how much it had changed since then. But instead of longing for the simplicity of the past, she embraced the complexity of her new reality. It wasn't easy, but it was meaningful, and that made all the difference. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Laura stood outside with her children and Varric. The stars twinkled above, countless points of light scattered across the sky. "Do you think Zoran is up there somewhere?" Mia asked softly. "I like to believe so," Laura replied, smiling. "And I think he'd be proud of us." Kale appeared beside her then, his glowing eyes reflecting the starlight. "He would be," he said gently. "You've honored his legacy in ways no one else could." Laura nodded, feeling a swell of gratitude for Zoran, for Kale, and for the family she had built. She didn't know what the future held, but she was ready to face it head-on. Together, they had opened doors to a whole new world, proving that even the smallest acts of kindness could ripple across the galaxy. As Varric emitted a soft, melodic tone, Laura wrapped her arms around her children and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there lay endless possibilities, challenges, adventures, and connections waiting to be made. And for the first time in her life, Laura felt truly prepared to embrace them all.